A thought crossed your mind today, the kind you could never say out loud to a single soul. And ever since, you've been quietly scared. Not of the thought itself, of what it says about you. It felt like your own mind just handed over the evidence against you. I'm telling you that feeling has a name, and it means the exact opposite of the verdict you've already passed on yourself. The men closest to the Prophet, peace be upon him, once came to him carrying this exact fear, and what he told them flips the whole thing 180 degrees. By the end of this video, my friend, you'll know what that thought actually is and what to do the next time it shows up. And get this straight, it doesn't mean you are a bad person, it doesn't mean you are losing your faith, it isn't a sin you committed. It's something far more specific than any of that. So let me walk you through exactly how this goes. You weren't doing anything wrong, you are just sitting there, minding your own business, and out of nowhere with zero warning, a thought walks into your head. You didn't go looking for it, you weren't even thinking about it, it just appeared out of thin air. And the thought is bad, say, the kind that question God himself. The kind where if anyone could hear you thinking it, you'd want the ground to open and swallow you. So your body goes cold for a second, then your mind starts firing questions at you one after another. Why would I even think that? What kind of person thinks something like this? And the answer your head hands you is calm, but it lands right between the eyes. Normal people don't think like this, so something must be wrong with me. Hold on, Behush, that's not me, I don't think like that. I know that's the reaction I expect from you, but I'm not guessing here. I'm pulling this from somewhere deep. I'm telling you what runs through your head every night before you sleep. The midnight questions. The part you never tell anyone and then you fall asleep on it. But here is the damage, my friend. By the end of the day, you've quietly filed those questions as a proof on you. Proof that underneath it all, maybe you are rotten. Maybe something wrong with you, maybe your faith is about to turn a corner and slip. And that thought, my friend, becomes the first crack starting to show. But here is the twist, my friend, you are not the first man to sit exactly where you are sitting right now. People you'd never in a lifetime imagine sat right there before you. Let me take you back about 1400 years. A group of companions came to the Prophet, peace be upon him, not strangers, not men on the edge of faith, the closest people to him, the ones who left everything to follow him. And they are shaken to the core, something wrong, and they can barely get the words out. They tell him we find thought inside ourselves and one of us would rather drop out of the sky than say a single one of them out loud. Stop on that for a second, my friend. These are the greatest generation of men to ever walk the earth, standing in front of the Prophet, peace be upon him, terrified of what's going on inside their own heads. Hold on, Behush. Them, the companions, they had thoughts like this. Thoughts like ours? Believe it, my friend, the very people we hold up as the gold standard. The same fear you carried to the bed last night, my friend, they carried it straight to the Prophet, peace be upon him himself. Hold on to that, because his answer to them is the part that changed everything. But before I give it to you, you need to understand exactly what happened in your head first, because if you don't, the answer will never land. Look, let me tell you things nobody tells you. The thought that comes to you isn't a problem. The thought is just a thought. It comes and goes. Everyone gets dark, random, ugly thoughts, everyone. The problem is what you do next, the second move. The first move happens to you, the thought just arrives out of nowhere. But the second move, that one is on you. You stop and ask, what does it mean that I thought what I just thought? And right there, in that one question you asked yourself, you've quietly put yourself on trial. Because now the thought isn't a thought anymore, it's evidence. And you've become the suspect under investigation. You are the suspect and the detective at the same time, searching your own head for a proof of just how bad you really are. And once you start investigating, you can't stop. You start checking. Do I still feel it? Is it still there? Let me think about it one more time just to see how I react to it. And you convince yourself this is the responsible thing to do. I'm just making sure I'm really not a bad person, that I haven't started slipping into shirk. I know it feels exactly like that. It feels like keeping a close watch on yourself is what a good man does, a righteous man, a man who will truly believe in his Lord. But here is the thing, what's actually happening is the completely opposite. Every time you go back to check, you have to drag the thought back up. To look at it, analyze it, dig deeper into it. You have to summon the very thing that terrifies you, just to check whether it still terrifies you or not. So the checking doesn't kill the thought. No, it feeds it. The harder you confront it and try to shut it down, the harder it pushes back. And now you are exhausted because this is running in the background all day long. While you work, while you talk to people, while you pray, a silent trial that never reaches a verdict and never ends. You are so busy trying to prove you are not the monster that the proving itself becomes the thing that defines you. And then comes the worst part of all, the thought you won't even let yourself finish. Where you neither let it go and walk away, nor dig all the way into it. Look, you aren't scared of the thought itself. You're scared the thought counts as a confession. But a confession is something you mean. This was something that happened to you, and then you spend the whole day fighting it. Those two are completely opposites. You are treating the smoke alarm as proof that you are the one who started the fire. Alright, you have seen the trap now, you've seen how it runs. The question is, how you get out of it. And the answer isn't something I made up, it's something set 1400 years ago to those same companions we talked about. So these companions are standing in front of the Prophet, peace be upon him, terrified, waiting for him to tell them just how bad they are. But he doesn't correct them, he doesn't tell them to fix themselves. He tells them the opposite of everything they expected. He told them that fear you are feeling, that's faith in its purest form. The fact that the thought horrifies you is the proof that your heart is alive. Hear that again, my friend. The exact thing you have been holding as evidence against yourself, he held up as the clearest sign your faith is real. Because a dead heart doesn't even flinch at this stuff. A man who was actually rotten inside wouldn't lay awake at night, sick and tormented over a thought, doubting his own faith. He wouldn't even notice it. That horror only happens because there is something good inside you for the thought to crash into. The disgust and fear you are feeling now, my friend, is not lack of faith. It's your heart proving it still believes. And your beloved messenger, peace be upon him, said something else that closed the case completely. Whatever passes through your mind, Allah overlooks it, as long as you don't act on it and don't say it out loud. The thought on its own was never held against you. It never even made it into the record. Now let's move from just reassurance to something you can actually use. There is a surah near the end of the Quran, my friend. We've all got it memorized, and it names the exact thing you've been fighting, more precisely than anything I've found anywhere else. Surah An-Nas names today's whole topic in 2 words: Al-Waswas Al-Khannas. The first means the whisper, the one who plans the thought and slips away. The second, Al-Khannas, means the one who retreats, who pulls back and pulls the moment you turn toward your Lord. That whisper is a part of you, it comes from outside. Drops the thought, pulls back, then comes back to see if it worked. That feeling you could never put a name to, this was it the whole time. You are not a monster, you are just being whispered to. Okay, Behwish, but why me? Why does he keep hitting me with whispers this heavy? Fair question, my friend. A thief doesn't waste his time on an empty house. He goes hard at the one with something worth stealing. The whispers and the midnight questions aren't a sign of how bad you are. They're a sign of how much is still alive inside you, worth attacking. And really sit with what actually happened in that moment. The thought showed up and something in you recoiled. You pulled back, scared, sickened by the thought itself. That part, the part that recalled, is not the part that made the thought. So now the real question, my friend, the one you actually came here for: what do I do the next time it comes? Because it will come again, and a third time, and a fourth, and a million. That's what Khannas means. It retreats, then it comes right back. So you need to know your move before it does. You simply stop investigating. You don't check whether it's still there. You don't check whether you're scared of it enough. That's the same trap wearing a different mask. You don't sit there trying to prove to yourself you didn't mean the thought. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was asked about exactly this, whispers that won't leave, and his instruction came down into 2 moves. Speak refuge to Allah Azza wa Jal and stop. Don't keep the conversation going, because you are not going to win an argument with a shaitan whose whole job is to drive you crazy and pull you into shirk. The more you debate the thoughts, the more you feed them. This is the whole trap I told you about a minute ago. The debate itself is the engagement it's hunting for. So the next time it walks in, you do 3 things, and they take about only 5 seconds. You notice it, you say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. meaning you take refuge in your Lord, and the third, you bring your attention back to whatever you were doing, or you go to sleep. You don't finish the thought. And that's it. Not because you are strong enough to never think it again, but because you finally understand it was never a confession. It was just a whisper, and the one rule with whisper is that you don't whisper back. So look at what just happened. You came into night scared that the midnight thoughts exposed something rotten in you. You are leaving now, they prove the exact opposite. But there is a quieter version of all of this where you have already passed sentence on something far bigger than a thought on your whole life, on what you've been allowed to hope for. And you didn't even call it a sentence. You called the loneliness maturity. You call it finally making peace with it. That's not peace, my friend. That's a sentence you wrote on yourself so the waiting would stop hurting. I made a whole video on exactly that, on the quiet surrender you've been calling wrath, and the one prophet who refused to make that same peace when every reason on earth was telling him to. It's right there. Go watch it now. And that's it. Peace.